Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Law and Finance Show, and today we have another great guest on. Now, when it comes down to figuring out how to get the word out about your business and how to get the word out about your firm and to attract clients, there are a number of strategies that you can take. So today, I wanted to talk about someone that caught my attention because I saw something that they were doing on LinkedIn, and it really made me think, like, you know what? I really want to have a conversation with them and find out a little bit more about their firm and found out their journey and how they started using social media and then all the other things that they're doing to really make an impact with their firm. So stay tuned for today's episode. Without further ado, let me bring on my guest, Adam Rossen. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thanks for having me, Terrell. Hey, I just want to say I really liked your intro, and I loved you with the Captain America shirt. We have a Captain America figurine in my office that a client made with my face on there, because I tell every client that we're the shield and protecting them from the government. So I love seeing that in your intro, man. That was great.
Awesome, man. I love it. I love it. When we did, my wife and I were actually in DC for something, and we had just decided to go down to like the National Mall to film. And I just happened to have on the Captain America shirt that day. So I'm like, yeah, it worked out great being in front of,
Right.
the Captain America shirt, being in front of the nation's Capitol building. I'm like, it worked out well.
Yeah, yeah. And look, for us, it's funny because most people think, oh, the prosecutors are like Captain America, the police. I'm like, no, 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 that's us. We do way more to help and protect people and be that shield. So, it's kind of cool in what we do.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to jump into, talking a little bit more about your firm in a few moments. But first, I want to start off by, for the people who may not be familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Adam Rossen. I own the Rossen Law Firm in South Florida. Our main office is in Fort Lauderdale, but we have offices throughout Broward and Palm Beach County, and we're rapidly expanding. Was a prosecutor for 2 years. I've had the firm for almost 15 or so, and grew up in South Florida, born and raised, first one in my family, and really just kind of fell in love with Law and Order, as a kid. And a classic kind of, oh, he's great at arguing, you should be a lawyer, and Law and Order is interesting. And I knew I wanted to do litigation, and but it wasn't until I was an intern. I did an internship at the prosecutor's office where I was like, no, I really like criminal law. This is what I want to do. PI is very lucrative and can be fun and great too, but I just really gravitated towards that, and I love it. I don't really myself get to practice much anymore, but a little bit. I'm still involved in some of the high level strategy on our big cases. But we have an amazing team of lawyers and staff that are absolute rock stars. And, the work we do, I think changes lives and betters our community. And it's not even close what we do compared to what I did when I was a prosecutor. We're the good guys, and it's immensely rewarding for us.
Awesome. One of the things I've been curious because, my background is accounting and finance. I am not a lawyer, never ever practiced law, nor have I went to law school. But one of the things I'm curious, like, when you go from, the prosecutor to, being a defense attorney, like, how is that transition for you?
So for me, it was good. I think, look, I could be a tough, hard-nosed person, go, 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 but I also think I'm naturally pretty empathetic. And so even when I was a prosecutor, for a lot of these clients in different situations, I tried to put myself in their shoes and really understand what was going on. It wasn't, flip the switch, right? Friday, I'm a prosecutor. Monday, I'm a defense attorney. Well, it was, but it evolved, right? And so even with us, I'm very hesitant to bring on to our team former prosecutors. Every other of our other 5 attorneys are former public defenders, just because I think, they're a better skill set for what we do and really buying into the mission and the vision of criminal defense. But it was something just for me, kind of a little bit of a natural proclivity towards that, and then just developed over years, and just realizing like, hey, as I'm building this firm, we want to make it client centric and client focused, not money centric. or money focused, not, the casework, right? Really about the client. And I think, it just, that's always been in me. It just kind of snowballed, and grew.
Nice, nice. So now, I guess when you were going through law school, was your intention to go into side as a prosecutor, or I guess when you first started law school, did you know what aspect of law you wanted to focus on?
I had no idea. I knew I really liked litigation. I couldn't see myself as a tax lawyer or just, pushing paper, right? I knew I wanted litigation. That's what interested me. And I hated law school. So full disclosure, I was not a good law student. I went to the University of Miami. It's a good school. I didn't like it. I wasn't a good student because I don't care about the common law from the 1500s. Get my butt in a courtroom, right? And I didn't do any of those things until my second or third year. So, that part was very frustrating. But once I was able to be kind of unlocked and unleashed with doing mock trial, moot court, and internships, and all of those things, Miami has a great program, the litigation skills program. That's when I was excited. I made sure I took a class that was taught. It was Monday night for 3 hours in the fall semester that the famous criminal defense attorney Roy Black taught. And my mission was to get into Roy Black's class, to meet him, to learn from him, and to just, absorb as much as I could. And it was my favorite class at Law by far. It was amazing. He's brilliant.
Nice, nice. You speak about, kind of getting in that class, learning from him, and like, just kind of honing your skills on the craft of what you do. I mean, I'm curious, I guess, as you continue to practice law, are there some things that you continually do to kind of still hone your craft and, develop even more?
So with the legal aspect, for me, not as much. I mean, I'm still, like, I always joke with the lawyers, like when we're in, strategy meetings with us lawyers, and we're talking, I'm like, hey guys, I still got it. Remember, I'm still a good lawyer here. Don't forget about me. I mean, I still love looking at some of the case law and the different things, but to me, that's, become like a secondary or even tertiary thing, because now it's about the vision. I've really found over the last maybe 7 years that I love the marketing, I love the vision, I love the business building, more of the entrepreneurial spirit. Whereas I still really like and enjoy the law, but in order to do what I really want to do and build the firm the way I want to build it, certain things that I had to do had to stop or take a back seat, and I had to replace myself with people as good, if not better than me, so I could do the things that really only I can do. So I still love being involved, but no, I'm not the one. Like, I've been to court. Our lawyers are in court every single day, every day. And I think I've been to court less than 5 times so far this year, maybe 3 or 4 times total. So miss it a little bit, a little
I
bit.
would say that brings up a good point because, one of the things that one of the aspects of the conversations we like to have on this show is really, when you go from that transition from just being a professional who practices law, or the owner of a law firm who practices law, to now having a transition from just practicing law to where I got to grow the business of the firm. And so, how was it, earlier on in that transition where you had to start letting go some of the practice of laws to start focusing on, like, hey, are we going to have enough clients, coming through the pipeline? Like, hey, do we have the right staffing in place? What was that transition like?
Right. So I started my firm in 2008. I was 26 years old. My old roommate and and partner, we started a firm. We were roommates, and we were just prosecutors for 2 years. And we're like, yeah, fuck it. Like, how much? We'll do it. Right. It'll work perfectly. And we were partners from '08 to 15. And then he wanted to split the firm, and we did. And we had never grew the firm. We had never grown the firm. So it was me and him. I was my own secretary, and I was his secretary. And we're still great friends to this day. But that's kind of was my reawakening of going, okay, I'm on my own. I really need to learn how to build this. So 15, 16, and 17 were all about just kind of starting over, getting that foundation. And then we started, brought in a legal assistant. Then I hired my first attorney in 2018, right after I bought my house that I spent way too much money on. And at the time, now it's all good, right? With everything with the real estate market. But the good thing for me was that lawyer is an amazing attorney. I was his high school basketball coach. His name's Manny. So we've gone back since 2003. He was an intern with me. He was a public defender for years, and I knew his work ethic and his skills. So letting go of some of that was easy, because by the time he came in, I was like, I'm swamped. I hired too late, which was a mistake that I did for a while. Now we don't do that. And him and I worked so well. So from 18, 19, 20, it was Manny and I in tandem. The marketing went from Adam to Adam and Manny, and for that 2.5-year period. And it was great. And then the firm exploded during COVID. Well, after a few months of COVID, we went from doing really well to doing nothing for 2 months. But Florida reopened very quickly, and we made some very smart strategic decisions, and we exploded. And last year we went from 2 to 5 lawyers in 8 months. And that's when it was the structure, the infrastructure, the hiring, okay, what do we need to do to get me out? Because we're not running a multiple $100,000 firm anymore. We're running a multi-million-dollar firm. And, in order for us to do what we really want to do, I have to take a back seat to that. And there's trust. Naturally, for some reason, the trust with Manny, again, the relationship was there, and we've hit it. We've knocked it out of the park with our attorneys. So the trust is just there. Manny's the managing partner now. So, I'm barely involved in the legal, in the legal department nowadays. Trust with some of the other areas of law, or of the other areas of the business we're still working on, just support staff and intake and marketing. And I'm still very involved in all those. But you got to delegate. You got to delegate to elevate. And it's, certain things have been easy and certain things have been real hard.
Now I'm curious, as you kind of, navigated, moving from, like I said, the technical side of practicing the law, were you surprised at how much was involved with the business side of the law? Like, was it a surprise to you as you started, kind of pulling the cover back on all the other things you needed to do?
Well, it kind of just happened like that. So, when we were in early 2019, we were basically a team of, 3.5. And at the end of 2019, we had grown to 6, right? And then, right before the pandemic. And that was a jump, but it was manageable. We probably should have hired an office manager at that point, but Manny and I were co-office managers, and it was manageable, And once we exploded, it was just like, oh my God, like, wow, this became complex overnight. And we didn't even realize how fast. Again, we had explosive growth. So for us, it was just it was kind of like running around crazy for months. And then one day we just looked at each other and we're like, this is a very complex business now. Wow. And so it just, again, it was just kind of exploded in that way. And yes, now, we're at 15, 16, 17 people. We have a firm administrator. We have a whole leadership team. We run on EOS. We're having our quarterly tomorrow with our implementer, which is amazing. And it's like, wow, this is like a real business, not a law firm. And it's been challenging, but it's been fun. It's very challenging.
Awesome. One of the things that I'm curious about, and part of this is because, my background is accounting and finance, is as you kind of make that transition to wrap your mind around the business side of it, how much at all was your accountant or your finance partner kind of involved with helping you kind of wrap your mind around, hey, here's what this means financially as you navigated that change?
Right. So in the growth, not that much, because like I said, it just happened. Now, yes, so much more. We've now we actually have an outsourced CFO in addition to the accountant. So things like that is, we're trying. One of our goals is to start making data, driven decisions. And for us, it's key. We never want to take the human element away, or kind of like my gut feelings. My gut's right, I think, pretty often, but not always. But I want to be able to know, instead of every lawyer that we've hired, so for the first 2 or 3 lawyers that we hired, we were at like redlining at max capacity before we hired them, to say, hey, if we can project out being, plus 40 cases over the next quarter, then does that mean in 6 months we need a new attorney and a new support staff? And if so, we need to start maybe looking now or within the next 90 days, right? And then so we can, because it's going to take a while, then we hire them, onboarding. So, right? So trying to make forward thinking decisions, especially how do we spend our marketing dollars? Who gets a raise, how much and when, and why? And it can't just be because Adam loves that person, right? Let's start looking at metrics, because we may have the quiet, shy person who I don't spend that much time with, who's an absolute rock star and should be getting raise after raise after raise, but maybe would be too timid to ask or gets lost or forgotten about. And then that person will leave, because we don't understand the true value, right? So all of those things, I just want to know. And again, run it like a real business.
I always ask because, it's one of those things that I learn in, like I said, our firm, we work with a lot of law firms, and I'm always curious of what other law firms are what their experience was, because a common trend that I see, and I tell a lot of law firms, is that, I'm not saying that you necessarily need to work with us, but you need to work with someone who will help you navigate this, because there's a lot of law firms that run into some pitfalls financially, kind of like you said, when it came down to, who do you give a raise to? And do you just go off gut feeling, or do you start to look at data? Now, since you brought up about data, like, how was it for other people on the team when they started to, or have they even noticed that, hey, you know what? Adam's kind of using the data to really operate and make decisions and not just go off the fly. Like, have other people in the business notice you doing that?
So that's a great question. We're starting to do that, and that's one of our goals. What I'll equate it to is when we started EOS a year and a half ago and started our scorecards, which were just more of basic KPIs to judge the health of the firm. And when we were calling these out and having them up and the rocks and who is on track and off track, everybody told me, Adam, you're going to have turnover, because Sally, who's been with you for years, who skates by, is now going to be on that pedestal every week measured, just like everybody else. And people aren't going to like it because they're going to stick out. Poor performers will stick out like a sore thumb. And we had that. So we had a lot of turnover. Some of it was just because of massive growth. Some of it was just, again, the people who got you there won't be the people that get you there, or your next level. And seeing that then up on the bright lights and the big stage, it was readily apparent that we may love Sally, but she's just not with it for the long term. So in that respect, yes, absolutely. And we're going to see how these things progress once we really get diving deep into it. But at the end of the day, most lawyers don't run their businesses like a real business. And I think we have to. We need to. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to our families. We owe it to our clients. And we owe it to the families and our employees and their families.
I think that's a good point. And I'll even say that it's not just lawyers. I've talked to a lot of accounting and finance firm owners, and a lot of times accountants don't run their business like a business, and which I think becomes like a double effect of accountants who are serving law firms. If accountants aren't running their business like a business, they're not going to think like a business when it comes to providing advice to, the law firms that they're working with. So I'm super glad that you guys are thinking that way, and you have the right, finance and accounting partners in place to help you navigate that. So now I want to talk a little bit about, the market, the firm, and, the types of clients and the types of cases that you would say, like, hey, here's our sweet spot. Like, we do this very well. So what would that be?
So we handle all types of criminal defense, state court, DUI, and federal and white collar. We handle it all. We're based out of South Florida, but for federal cases, we'll pretty much go anywhere. And really, our firm's motto is we help good people when bad things happen so they can achieve their best future. And what we took past, present, and future, right? And so, we're more of Suits, the TV show Suits, rather than Better Call Saul. And 95% of the criminal attorneys out there, it's a solo. It's like a Lincoln lawyer type, solo, maybe with one staff. And, it's Better Call Saul. I mean, Sure. Back in 2008, when I had nothing and started the firm with less, with my partner, and I think combined we had less than 5,000 in savings. Sure. Did I meet a client in a Burger King parking lot to get $200? Yeah, of course I did. Right. Do we do that now? No. Right. So we have our marketing and everything we do, our hiring process is all about attracting and repelling. So we want to attract the clients that will do really well with us. We want to repel the ones that don't. Same thing with employees and really just everything. So we've really focused on, look, you don't have to be super wealthy. We are higher end on the fees, but we purposely don't want to price people out who are good fits. For us, it's somebody who, this is a life-altering event. First or second time ever arrested. Maybe there's substance abuse issues. Maybe there's mental health issues. We do really well with both of those, and those are kind of passions for me and the firm. I think in criminal law, that has to be your passion, because so many people are suffering from issues. And my favorite clients of all time are the teachers and nurses who will hire us. Maybe we're the third lawyer they've met with, third lawyer law firm, and we are 50% higher than the other two in fees, maybe 60%, a few grand more for their DUI, let's say. But they say it's not even close. That's how important my teaching certificate or my nursing license is. I need to hire you. Can you offer me a payment plan? I'm not trying to negotiate fees or anything. Your fees are well deserved, but I need help and I want you. Absolutely. Those are my favorite. Because they truly understand the investment in their future. Somebody who's been in and out of trouble for 15, 20 years, probably not a good fit. I'd say less than 5% of our clients are currently in custody right now, which is very, very, very low for criminal defense lawyers. Easily less than 5%. So,
wow, that is impressive. I mean, it's always amazing when you talk to people who, have that much confidence in what they do and who they help, the value that they deliver, especially when it comes down. Like, I was having this conversation with another accounting firm that also supports law firms, and her and I, we were talking. And one of the things we talked about was just like, we often find that people who tend to be a little shy about where they are on the scale of price point tend to struggle to really communicate the value that they deliver. So I love the fact that you guys are so confident about the value you deliver, what it really means to the clients that you serve. That is amazing.
Right. Yeah, our goal is to deliver a Ritz-Carlton type experience to criminal defense. And we say that quite often, but not everybody in my firm has ever stayed at a Ritz. So sometimes I'll just say a Disney level experience, right? We won't have the character parade at 3 p.m. in the office, but give that place where people are having a dark moment in their lives, one of the worst things that can happen, and just make sure that they are truly heard. They understand that we have their back, we're reliable, and we're going to fight for them, and we're going to really, truly honestly turn over every single stone and fight. And even if it means doing it on a 5 fee basis, doing more work, right? It's worth it because of how important getting going through criminal charges and getting a great result is to your future. So for us, it's paramount that and not just the lawyers that get good results, but the lawyers that treat people well. That's why we have over 600 5-star reviews. You don't get that in criminal defense unless you really make a connection with people, and that's the key.
Awesome. I love it. So if people are interested in learning more about, the firm, they want to keep an eye on like, hey, the awesome things you guys are doing, what's the website or where should they look for you guys?
Yeah, sure. So, we try to be everywhere, Facebook or Instagram. You can find us, Rossen Law Firm. Our website is rossenlawfirm.com. And I see that you have it up. And even there, achieve your best future. It's not 6 lawyers looking tough with their arms crossed, grilling, right? It's, it's client centric. Everything, right? Our website was very deliberately done last year. We did a big redesign on that. So yeah, look, we love talking to people. I love going at places, meeting people, talking about this stuff. I love it. I've had a lot of mentors over my, last few years, especially. And, we're still scratching the surface about what I think we can do.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, one final question that I love asking every guest that comes on is, we've talked about a lot of, there's been a lot of insight shared in with the last 25 minutes. And so, if someone asked you like, hey, Adam, I want to go listen to that interview. Hey, what are 2 key takeaways I should be listening for when I listen to this interview?
We've been able to really hone in on our vision and have a crystal clear 1, 3, 5-year plan. We even have, a 20-year out. Hey, what does this look like in 20 years? In our firm, what's the ultimate long game goal? So regardless of what you're doing, you have to have that vision and then work back, right? And for us, EOS has helped tremendously, but there's many other things that you can do. The second takeaway I would say is invest in your team and invest in coaching in particular. It's not a cost. So whether it's, maybe a managerial accounting or a forward-thinking CPA or firm, maybe a fractional CFO, a fractional CEO, EOS, all the different programs that are out there. There's so many, but you got to sift through the BS because some of them are fakers and jokers, right? And it's about that trust. But we went into EOS, and luckily at that time I had the right mindset of, okay, this is an investment. This is a lot of money, but really this is not a lot of money if it's going to do what it's supposed to do. And you got to have that trust and faith. So really, second thing, invest in mentors, invest in coaching, and have the trust that it's going to work and not, hold back because of fear. And with those 2 things, I think anybody can grow and, you can be unstoppable.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, Adam, thank you so much for being an amazing guest. Thanks for sharing your insight, your wisdom. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thanks so much. Happy to be here.
We get it. Keeping track of your finances can seem pretty overwhelming when you're running a business. Achieving your financial goals in business should not be a guessing game. That's why it pays to work with someone that can take a hard look at your financial numbers and not add more stress to the balancing act of running your business. The T.O. Turner Group will provide a clear and concise explanation to your financial standing. The T.O. Turner Group will simplify finance and help you make smarter money decisions in your business.